CEO, councillors, directors, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. The traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, the Yurabara people, represent a human link dating back over 2,000 generations, and as part of the oldest, or one of the oldest living cultures on the planet. We pay our respects to the Indigenous elders of our traditional custodians, past and present, and recognise their continuing connection to our land and our community. And I have to advise, of course, that these meetings of the Mackay Regional Council are streamed live, and the audio and the vision, it will be on our council's website. And we do that in association with our standing orders, and by attending today's meeting in the public gallery, you're consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. Thank you very much. Thank you, councillors. I declare the meeting open. And today we have Reverend John Mackay to lead us in prayer. Thank you, Reverend John.
Let's pray. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, we welcome before you now and give you thanks for our region. We pray for those who live and work or have retired here, those who travel through and enjoy the beauty of what our region has to offer. Today we pray for our Mayor and for each councillor, that you give them the spirit of wisdom, peace, responsibility and justice. We pray that this council, together with its officers and staff, may faithfully serve in their various portfolios to promote the well-being of all people to whom they are responsible. We pray for the various deliberations and decisions that are made today. We pray that those decisions will empower growth and equity among all, create a more enjoyable leisure environment, will enable all businesses and our community groups to flourish and grow, and create a safer place to live. As we also look back, we give thanks for the many blessings and achievements that have benefited the people and organisations of our community. We offer all these prayers through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Okay, so councillors, absent on council business, there's nobody, but we have a couple of councillors away today who've already received a grant of leave of absence. Councillor May had a personal reason for not being here today in a family bereavement. Would somebody like to move that she be granted leave of absence? Councillor Camp, seconded by Councillor Angler. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. And Councillor Walker and Bonaventura, as I said, have already received their leave of absence to drive 3,000 kilometres in a 30-plus-year-old car. For a very good cause, of course, for a very good cause. Any conflicts of interest? Oh, first of all, condolences. No condolences. Any conflicts of interest to declare? Let's move on. The confirmation of the ordinary meeting minutes of the 14th of August have been circulated. We've received nothing back in terms of questions, so we'd like to move their adoption. Councillor Casey, seconded by Councillor Mann. Those in favour? Any against? It's carried. There's no business arising out of that we've been advised of. There's no mayoral minutes. Let's move on to the reports and committee reports and recommendations. 10.1, the local disaster management group meeting of the 5th of August.
Question first.
Question, certainly. Councillor Casey.
Around the meeting date, Monday, April the 6th, 2020.
Yes, I think we need to advise that needs to be either pushed back substantially to enable a new council to be in office by that stage.
I'm quite happy to move the rest of the minutes.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Councillor Casey moves the adoption, seconded by Councillor Payton. Anything further, Councillor Casey?
That's fairly straightforward. What happened at that meeting, sir?
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Let's move on to the correspondence then and officers' report. We have the 5 directorates reports now for the departmental annual reviews for 2018-2019, and they're forward to us to receive. We didn't receive any questions for that, but Acting CEO, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Your Worship. I did start trying to pick out the highlights and realised they were all highlights, so I think it's just a great representation of the breadth of activities that Council performs over the year. So the only thing I would like to highlight is probably just the the safety stats that we achieved for the financial year with 2 LTIs, and continue to be a strong focus about building the culture around reporting. So other than that, happy to take any questions.
They're certainly very good reports. Are there questions? No questions? Somebody like to move that we receive these reports? Councillor Mann moves, Councillor Englert seconds, Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Worship. I don't want to single out any department in particular, because I think it just goes to show exactly what work has been carried out in the 12 months. Our operational plan quarterly reviews do give us a good idea, but when you look at the whole report for 12 months, it just shows what we do deliver. And I do commend all staff and directors and management for their focus and for the report that was put together. But there's a couple of highlights for me. I echo the acting CEO's comments on workplace health and safety. I think we've achieved some amazing results, and that's everybody's focus. So that needs to be kept in mind. Capital Works Directorate for its first 12 months really did kick some goals. And I think it's well and truly on the new director to keep that action happening and make sure that we deliver what we, similar or better than what we delivered in the last 12 months. I would really want to talk about emergency management and what they dealt with last year with bushfires, which was a first for us, and also monsoonal rain then fairly closely after that. So they've taken to look at they've chosen to look at the opportunities to implement changes, and there was 48 recommendations identified, and they either have been implemented or in the process of being implemented. So I think that shows a really big focus on that department to make things better. Another one I really want to highlight is what the Sugar Shed has done or achieved in the last 12 months. When you look at the amount of awards that have been awarded, I guess, to the Sugar Shed, it just shows that it is a facility well worth visiting, and I hope that by winning those awards, people do also look at it as a facility well worth visiting. I would like to commend Glenys Mansfield, who was there right from the start, who has, I guess, with her and the team and the assistance received from Council, has made sure that that is an award-winning facility, and let's hope that we can maintain what's been achieved now that Glenys has chosen to move on. So very excited to see what is going to happen in the next 12 months, and I'm sure that everybody's focus will be very much on the best for this council and the ratepayers of this region.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mann, Speaker against. Any other speakers? Councillor Cam.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to take this opportunity as the only councillor on the public record who's not running in next year's local council elections, given this is a full year and I won't get the opportunity to be here next year to have this conversation about the next year's review, but I just wanted to acknowledge the CEO, who's not here today, Craig Doyle, and his leadership alongside yours, and also all of the directors, and in fact past directors and acting directors as well, for their contribution to the last 12 months of the delivery of council services. And in particular, this review, not only does it make up all of the highlights that Councillor Mann outlined and some of the most significant capital projects that this council's delivered across all parts of the council business, but also some really important community service initiatives under your leadership, like the DV Task Force, which has really made a massive impact in our community. And so I'm very proud to be part of a council that over the last 3 years we've really seen, the vision and leadership, I think, that we came in to deliver. And in this last 12 months in particular, sometimes I say to people, oh, we could have done so much more. But in fact, it was quite sobering to read this report over the last couple of days and actually look at how much work is delivered across every single department, and that our 1,100 plus staff contribute to that work. And they actually, make our job quite easy. So whether it be in health and regulatory or water services or drainage, the whole breadth of all of the programs that have really delivered outstanding and with a perfect safety record almost, which is great. So congratulations to the entire executive, and please pass that down the line, all the way down to your line managers, because they're the people on the ground that deal at the coalface every single day. So thank you.
Thanks very much. Well said, Councillor Cam, and certainly echo those sentiments when you read these reports. Excellent outcome for a review of the council's operations for the last 12 months. Well done. Other speakers? No other speakers? It's been moved by Councillor Mann, seconded by Councillor Englert. Put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Thank you. 11.2, the attendance of Councillor Cam and Councillor G at the National Economic Development Conference for 2019. It's pretty well straightforward. Somebody like to move? Councillor Englert, seconded by Councillor Payton. Councillor Englert?
No, thank you.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. 11.3, Christmas closure. Once again, this is fairly well straightforward. It's something we do annually, but I think there's 5 recommendations there that have been put for us for adoption about the closure, the council meeting reorganisation for January and for December, and then the notification as per the Local Government Act. Any questions? Somebody like to move? Councillor Casey moves, seconded by Councillor Englert. Councillor Casey.
Thank you, Your Worship. That's a great idea. It's a good initiative of the council because that time of year people are in holiday mode, and by getting this out as early as we have now, it gives our staff the opportunity to organise some of their holidays and use up some of those RDOs they haven't used.
Thanks, Councillor Casey. Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. 11.5 is the ECO report for water. So did I miss one? Oh, there you go. I did indeed. The 11.4 is the Development Services Monthly Review for July. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Your Worship. So again, good to see no LTIs for the month with 8 recorded safety incidents. A very successful National Tree Day, both with the community and schools, with 330 students and 240 residents participating in that. The 5th lane opening was a huge success, and obviously it's been well received in the CBD. The cumulative DA assessment applications for July is the highest it's been for the last 4 years, which is obviously a good indication of the economy starting to turn around a little bit. Really good customer feedback from the parks area for the customer surveys that we get through, and a couple of the events that we've targeted or approved through the period are the 219 BMX State Championships, Jehovah's Witness event, and Australian Water Association Conference. So just again displays the broad scope of activities we're inviting to our region.
Thanks. CEO, questions? No questions? You have a question, Councillor Englert.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just looking for the page now, but with regards to the sugar shed, it's very unusual for this department to have little red dots, and I know there was a little red dot last time. But you know, the sugar shed's performing very well. Otherwise, how long do you think it will be before we see that little red dot?
The review you're talking about? Acting CEO?
Yeah, really, Your Worship. Might have to defer that to the Director.
To the Director?
Sorry, I'm just sorry that I read.
Actually, I think I'm referring to the financial statement right down the bottom. Sorry, I've lost the page number. I think it's the last one on the actual report.
No.
There we go.
Yep. Can you clarify the question? Sorry.
So we know that the Serena Sugar Shed's been tracking really well.
Yeah.
But we're a little bit over in expenses. So do we forecast a period where we'll be back on track with that?
Yeah. Look, I think at this point in time, there's no cause for concern in terms of those figures. I mean, the figures are accurate. We've presented them as they are, but we're 1 month in, and I don't see us having any budgetary issues there.
Awesome. I'll ask another question, Richard.
I
I think this one's on page 106 with regards to development applications. I'm just tidying up, Your Worship. This program's really good with the green dots, and there's a couple of orange ones around. So within the concurrence agency, 85% in 10 days. Does that mean there's only on 2 occasions that approvals went over? I mean, it says 85%, but does that translate to just 2 applications going over time?
Acting CEO, you answer that one.
Yeah, through Your Worship. I think reading that there were 5 in the period, so 2 were at 11 days and 3 were at 13 that were over the target date.
Okay. So, sorry, Your Worship, must be 107 operational works. That relates to 2 applications then. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions, Councillor G?
I noticed in the livability section of the strategic planning, wave pools dropped off. I saw our next moves were to keep communication open, so I thought this might be a window of opportunity to put it into the investment attraction and growth area with some words around it that the door is open.
Okay, we can have a look at that. I might come back to you and see what we can do. We did say that we'd keep the communications open, but it's not in the strategic plan. So, okay, we can do that. Further questions? No further questions? Somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Cam moves, Councillor Englert seconds, Councillor Cam.
Thank you, Worship. I thought I'd take this opportunity just to highlight some of the applications that have been approved, given, as the community know, a number of applications actually don't come to council. They're approved under delegation, but it's still a very good news story that demonstrates our economy is back and moving. So in particular, just highlighting that there has been a release and approval of development of 30 lots of low density housing out at Marion on Anzac Avenue and Tolchers on Mackay Youngler Road, which is fantastic seeing that community in the valley continue to grow. Richmond Hill Stage 7 of 49 housing lots and works underway there, as well as an application approved for Mackay Baptist Church in the city, which also includes the expansion of their hall and a children's play area. And also at Rural View at Arana Drive, we're also seeing approvals there for a service station as well. So it shows a broad diversity of approvals across our region in different localities, but in particular that important housing stock that we see that will need to come online as we see things continue to grow, and I think we are definitely in an upturn, which is great to see.
We're on the way. Thank you very much, Councillor Cam. Any other speakers? Councillor G, you're speaking for?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, yesterday I received a phone call from the 6th International Wave Company, and I actually was impressed with the strategic planning part of this report. I referred them to it. Basically around the mountain biking, the BMX, the Sugar Bowl, all first class visions. Some are on the ground now, like the Sugar Bowl. They went away and read that and rang me back, and they came back to me saying that the bits like promoting the region and events attraction, they had heaps of questions around that and opportunities through the promotion. So I just thought it was really good alignment, and that's why I asked the question prior, because it's an external investor looking in, and just to have some words around that the door's open for the wave pool would have been really good for me to actually sell the region and say, look, we are looking at in that area.
Thanks, Councillor G. Any other speakers? No other speakers? It's been moved by Councillor Cam, seconded by Councillor Englert. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? It's carried. Thank you. Now we can go to 11.5. The ECI report for water for July. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Your Worship. So again, highlighting no LTIs in relation to water and sewage. So that program now has moved to something like 14 months with LTI free, which is a great result. Just highlight the transition of the two major wastewater treatment plants back into insourcing into council operation occurred from 1 July. So there's obviously still been a few issues with the existing assets and the changeover of that, but we're successfully now running both those plants. The new lab was completed and we had the relocation occur at the end of July with the official opening a couple of weeks ago. Again, strong customer survey results for water and sewage in relation to the May-June period. And 350 odd requests were dealt with by water and sewage for the month. And you'll see in the plumbing applications for the last couple of months, we have seen a bit of an increase compared to the previous 6 months, which again indicates that stronger economic upturn. Other than that, happy to take any questions.
Excellent. Thanks. Acting CEO, questions? Councillor Cam.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is in relation to the Morani water recycling upgrade. In particular, I just highlight on page 139 electronically that the schedule and other issues and risks, but the budget seems to be on track in green. However, I note the original budget, which I've raised several times before, was about 15.8 million and it's been amended to 16.8 million. So that's $1 million variance on this report, but the budget line is still in green. So my first question is, why is that? And my second question is in regards to the design workshop that was to happen in August. How did that go? Because it's very concerning to read that the documents for review during the design phase have been poor. So I'm assuming that is by the company who's won that tender and has resulted in an increase resourcing for Mackay Regional Council in its consultancy. So just an update on that project and really understanding the risk profile
Certainly,
of
thanks very
that
much,
profile from a budget perspective.
Councillor Camp. So, Acting CEO, so the Morani plan in the budget and the design workshop.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I think, well, I can probably have a bit of an answer there. I might defer to the Capital Works Director in relation to the risk. So I think that obviously working through the design review, so I think we would have hoped that some of that quality was a little bit better, and we've had to do a little bit more work to work with the contractor to get it to the stages that we need to for each of those hold points. So normally there's a 30, 60, 90% design review before sign off. There was a bit of an issue with some contaminated material where they found an old shearing pit that had some contamination. So we've been through that and been able to manage that, that the soil can stay on site, so we don't have to do anything there. In relation to the budget, I thought that was in line, and there might have had been a carryover of money, but we can probably review that and come back and confirm, unless the Director has any further information.
No, no further comments on the budget. I'm not really sure.
So the report says the original budget set is 15.8 million and the amended budget is 16.8 million. So I'm assuming we have done that amended budget through the quarterly review. Yep. So I think it's a little bit cheeky that we have a green line there that it's on budget, even though we've amended it, because we had to amend it because originally it wasn't on budget. Is that correct? Like it's, but my concern around the green for the budget is that in relation to the contaminated soil and also the additional increase in cost for MRC consultants. So is the final budget 16.8, or are we going to, is it going to be moved each quarter depending upon the progress of the project?
No, so just in relation to the first point, the amended budgets, once they're approved at the quarterly review, are the new budgets that we baseline against, so that's why it's green. It's green against the 16.8.
Okay, so you need to remove then, I would assume, 15.8 out
yeah, that was the
report.
original budget.
Yeah.
And as I said, all budgets are measured, if you like, or that performance is measured against the amended budget, not the original one, whatever that original might be. Because of the movement that happens with budgets when tenders come in, when designs develop, and all those sorts of things that happen. But yeah, there's not much relationship between that amended budget and the material that Jason spoke about. It's quite a minor issue, really. It's something that was discovered and stays on site, and it's been dealt with through the earthworks on site.
I guess the question, Director, then from the Deputy Mayor is, can we have confidence in this amended budget?
Right where it sits now, yeah, we do. Yeah.
And
So
how
the
was your
design-
workshop in August? Because it's a DNC, isn't it? Is that
Yeah.
correct? Yes. So how was the workshop and outcome in August?
Yeah, all the workshops that happened through the last 2 workshops have been really good. There's no issues. We've got some minor things. We're waiting on feedback from our consultant. We rely heavily on our process consultant for this sort of work. And we're progressing with works on site on the basis that the minor changes that came from the last workshops are very minor. So they're not affecting the budget.
So maybe Acting CEO, we could just keep the council abreast of this.
Yeah, because I just to clarify, because I think if you read that paragraph out of context, it's quite alarming. So if you just read that in isolation without the knowledge that you have, which I've done, it's quite alarming.
Yeah.
Because it's just highlighting elements of potential very high variation and risk without any narrative around that all that's been managed.
Yeah.
So I think if we could just get some more detail in the next report that outlines that would be good.
Okay, thank you.
Because it's one of our largest projects. That's my concern. 16 million, it's one of our largest projects.
Through your worship, we'll go back and have a look at the original project scope in relation to budget. We'll provide some commentary around if there has been a variation. I wasn't sure that it's gone up by $1 million, but we'll check that, and then we'll give a bit of a summary on what the current risks are, whether that's going to lead to any further variation in budget.
Okay, that would be good. Any other questions? Other questions? Somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Mann, seconded by Councillor Casey. Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wanted to talk about the opening of the new water lab, which now sees our staff work in safer conditions, but also conditions that reflect the changing nature of that business, and also it accommodates staff in an area that can actually grow our services that we offer. So I think that was that was really well done, and I'm pleased to see there was no loss of services when they transitioned in the new building as well, and also performed about 29,000 tests, so that was really good to see. The other one is the official handback of the wastewater treatment plants in South and North. It shows the capability that this council has managed to develop in that we can deliver those services ourselves, so I guess there's been a lot of lessons learned from the operator, but it's really good to see that we do have that capability ourselves now, and we've also collaborated with Sunday Regional Council in how they deliver their service, their wastewater treatment plants as well. So I think it highlights that we do work well with our neighbouring councils, and it's important to continue to do that. And as always, I want to mention safety. We can't underestimate how important it is that it is at the forefront of everybody's minds. And again, this area of the department worked well in that and achieved really good results. So congratulations to everybody involved.
Thanks, Councillor Mann. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Casey?
Thank you, Your Worship. I too concur with Councillor Mann about the new lab. When I was first elected in 2004, we did a tour to the old lab out at Mount Bassett. That would have fitted into the area where we had smoko the other morning. So it's a fantastic facility, although it did finish a little over budget. I think it's well worth the risk that we put in there and done that. It's a fantastic facility, and as Councillor Mann also said, it's got plenty of space to be to go into the future to become it could become a very profitable branch for the Mackay Regional Council area.
Thanks, Councillor Casey. Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion then. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. 11.6 is the ECI July report for waste. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, just to highlight, even though this is a small program, there's been no LTIs. We have had a strong focus on working with some of the contractors within this program to obviously enhance their safety record on site as well. We had the kick-off for the waste levy start from 1 July, so it's been pretty seamless so far for the first month of the implementation. You will note there that Council won a national award for Drum Muster, so great recognition for a program that's been implemented for a long time, and special recognition to Peter Westwood and Jason Grandcourt for what they've done in that space. And you will see also that we've been obviously for a while looking at the options with our glass, so we're going to use that as a bit of an option on the actual access road to Hogan Pocket, where we can mix that with some gravel and then do some trials there that hopefully then can move further into other areas of the region. So, other than that, happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Acting CEO. There's a comment in the report on the Queensland Government's energy from waste policy. And I think that's pretty important for what we're discussing and in our area in particular. And I suspect that our council will want some serious input and review of that. So there was just a comment in there about the review. So I'd hope that the council gets completely involved in that, Acting CEO. Other questions? Councillor Payton.
Just to comment on that, Your Worship, I'll actually be attending a conference tomorrow and Friday for waste to energy, held by LGAQ as a representative of along with Jason Grandcourt.
You may have seen in the report that we're being asked to comment on the waste to energy Queensland Government policy. I think it's wise that we have a whole of council opinion on that. And your feedback tomorrow from where you're attending, Councillor Payton, will be very good as well. Other questions?
I look forward to the getting the report. Excuse me, the report on using crushed glass blended with sand and gravel for our roads and paths. Be interesting to see that report come through.
Absolutely, yes. Councillor Camp.
Yeah, my question about that actually was on that same topic. We're working to deliver that ourselves, or are we working with partners externally around that mix and how it's trialled? Like, how are we measuring that?
Through Your Worship. So we've obviously had a look at what sort of literature and what other people are doing across Australia in relation to it. So it's not really a new opportunity, but it's largely just our existing staff working internally together. So previously we had some trials going back into civil operations where we'd use the bedding sand. There's just some concerns about we weren't washing the glass and potentially some of the dust coming off that. So this is a little bit probably mixing it in pre-use, so it sort of helps in relation to getting our officers used to it. So at the moment, it's just been driven internally.
Great.
Other questions? Somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Payton moves, seconded by Councillor Englert. Councillor Payton.
Thank you, Your Worship. The waste levy was introduced in the 1st of July. I'd like to congratulate the waste team for the preparation carried out prior to the levy coming in. As our standing CEO said, even with all these significant changes made by council, only 2 inquiries since the implementation really shows they've done their homework there. The team were also recognised for their efforts, being awarded the 2019 Ag Safe Outstanding Drum Muster Award. The team has been involved with the Drum Muster program since 1999 and initially recycled 4,000 containers, and have grown this over the years to 17,000 containers that are recycled per year. So this is over 6 transfer stations, and this is a great service to our farmers in the region and a great environmental outcome. Recycling of these containers and not sending them to landfill. I'd also like to congratulate the Waste Services team for another good report for the month, and happy to support the motion.
Thank you very much. Councillor Payton. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor G. Speaker for, obviously.
Last month's Council and Community, we actually got out from Farley North in a bus trip and saw a lot of the infrastructure that's been put in place, including Midge Point Beach restoration and the boat ramp that is buried with sand now. You wouldn't even know the work's been done. Feedback's been good from the community. A lot of the bridges and fishways were also on the road trip. So we've actually hands-on been out and seen a lot of the work, and the unsealed road networks, the improvements on them have been duly noted on our backsides whilst on the bus.
Thank you. This is the waste report, but thank you.
Oh, sorry.
On a roll. Never did think you were too. Are there any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried.
To the next one.
We can have that for the next one, Councillor G. So 11.7 is the ECI report for transport and drainage for the month of July, and this is the report that actually mentions the completion of the Midge Point and Lambert's Beach Sand Renourishment Program, and really it's great to be able to bring it to the table after all that time, 2 years since the cyclone. It's taken a long time, and it's great to have that report noting its completion up for adoption today by Council. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just highlight, we had quite a serious LTI here in civil operations. Where one of our operators was exiting a roller, and an investigation into that found that rather than exiting, working down with his back facing, he did it frontwards. He had his hand on the armrest, which gave way and then fell 2 metres and hit his head and became severely concussed. So obviously he's currently off work at the moment. We're still working with that employee to make sure that his health is recovered before he returns to work, but it probably just highlights a simple little thing potentially about how we exit a piece of machinery. It can cause quite a serious incident and could have been a lot more serious in relation to this case. So it's been an opportunity for us to highlight that and reinforce that back in the organisation and make sure that our staff are taken care. The other highlights in relation to Councillor G stole a little bit of that thunder in relation to Midge Point Lambert's Beach being completed. You'll also note in there that the most recent event with that monsoon trough that we've put submissions in for Dalrymple Road at 2.8 million for the repairs there, and Boundary Creek Road for 900,000. We've also identified around 47 k's of unsealed road network that needs to have repairs as a result of that event. So we're still waiting on QRA to come back to us, but obviously we're going to plan to do Boundary Road internally with our own works crew, and then we'll outsource Dalrymple Road for those repairs. Other than that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks, Acting CEO. Questions at all? No questions? Would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Casey, seconded by Councillor G. Councillor Casey.
Thank you, Your Worship. another good report, and it's great to see now that we have 8 grading teams doing our unsealed roads there. That's comprising both council and contract resources, and that the preparation for the sealed roads and heavy patching of pavement and repairs has commenced as well. So it's good to see that. I won't say anything about Midge Point or Lambert's Beach. I'll leave that to my fellow councillor. That another very, very good report, and the weather has been very good to us, or kind to us, in the last month or so. So it has allowed our crews to make a fairly sizable dent on that huge amount of work they have to do.
Yeah, thanks very much, Councillor Casey. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Bella, speaking for.
I was worried there that Councillor Casey was going to steal things I wish to speak about. Once again, sounded like a broken record, but very, very pleased with the work of the grader crews on rural roads. I would go further to say that I'm also very pleased with the roadside drainage. Your drains make your roads, to be perfectly honest, and I have seen the results of both the work on the road itself and the drains myself. I'm also very interested in the new device being trialled, and I'll be interested to see how well it performs, because as with a lot of things, people complain about aesthetics. We've had people not happy with the degree of roughness of certain sealed roads. And let me tell you, when you're driving a gravel road all the time, it's not always major defects in the roads, it's the general state of the road itself. So I'll be interested to see, and if there's anything that they wish to bring forward regarding the operation of that machine, I'll be very interested in hearing it.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bella. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Worship. Just wanted to highlight a couple of things. So in terms of the Slade Point re-nourishment and revegetation, it was really good to see that community members were able to be involved in some planting last weekend in conjunction with Splashfest, because they had been really asking for a long time to be able to be involved. And the other thing I wanted to highlight was around the acting CEO's talk about the lost time to injury in this department, and the simple things that sometimes happen that we're not aware of, but the learnings. And I did happen to see something on Facebook last night where one of our employees, Carmela Springer, actually addressed employees at the depot yesterday in terms of her husband's fatal work accident and the learnings from that. And I think it was very brave of Carmela to be able to speak for the benefit of all our staff, and I actually would commend her, and I commend that our managers or our managers even thought to ask her to share her learnings.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mann. Other speakers? No other speakers. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Amendment 1.8 is the Org Services Monthly Review for July. Acting CEO.
Thank you again, Your Worship. So again, no safety incidents to report in relation to Org Services. Just want to highlight that we have an annual 3-year rolling safety strategy and action plan that we developed. So that's been developed and is around for circulation, but that gives us our key KPIs that we're targeting in relation to both lead and lag indicators in relation to the safety. So it's one of our core documents that we use going forward. So the Safety and Governance Group have done a fantastic job in preparing and establishing that document going forward. You will note that we had a $5.4 million spend in the first month of the year locally for our businesses in town. Again, highlight the strong customer survey results in relation to our call centre, which continues to meet our KPIs. We were nominated for the CQ Regional Training Awards for Major Employer, and Janet Timor was nominated for 2 awards and won the ASTI Awards, and we'll go through to the state finals as a result of that. And just to recognise the simple initiative of our SMSs going out in relation to accounts continuing to have great outcomes for us in reducing the amount of unpaid debts. So happy to take any further.
Thanks, Acting CEO. Are there questions for the Acting CEO? No questions. So we'd like to move the report's adoption. Councillor Mann moves, seconded by Councillor Payton. Councillor Mann.
Wish the Acting CEO has stolen some of my thunder, but I did particularly want to highlight the KPIs and shared services all back on track again. And I'm hoping that means that we've now been able to resolve our staffing issues that were being experienced there. I think it's really important, and the staff realise the importance of KPIs, but very important that we support them when the KPIs aren't being met, in recognising that there were challenges. Also, the SMSs around rates arrears, it's a challenge for any council, And the fact that they worked so well, and so there was fewer assessments being referred to collection house, is a really good initiative, and hopefully it's cost efficient as well for us. 72% of the council spend in the local region, that is really well done, and I hope that, and I know that will continue, that we will support locals wherever we can. Again, I was pleased to see about the People and Culture initiatives progressing and the awards that we were nominated for, and also would like to acknowledge Jeanette Timor, who is no longer with council, but she was a trainee. And it just highlights the importance of our trainee and apprentice program that we continue to support, and I'd like to also see that continue into the future. And again, safety, I have to mention it, well done to this directorate again for there was no lost time and minimal incidents recorded.
Thanks very much, Councillor Mann. Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Thank you. 11.9 is the strategic financial report for the month of July. Acting CEO.
Yeah, through you, Chair. It's obviously still very early on in the year. Probably just to highlight that in the operational expense, there's a reference there to some contractor payments that weren't picked up in a previous financial year tied to the contract for operating our treatment plants. But other than that, everything's on track. So can we take any further questions?
Straightforward report. Are there questions for the Acting CEO on the strategic financial report for the first month? Nothing. Somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Payton moves, seconded by Councillor Cam. Councillor Payton.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council is showing a $1 million operating deficit this month, mainly due to, as acting director has said, operating expenses being $1.2 million higher than budgeted, but that $900,000 contract payment relating to the water services was unbudgeted for, and will be considered in the future budget reviews. The capital expenditure is showing 85% delivery for the year to date, so getting underway pretty quickly there, which is good to see. But all in all, like the director said, it's early days for the budget to date, and I'm sure staff is watching this closely. So happy to move the motion.
Thank you. Speaker against? Any other speakers? It's been moved by Councillor Payton, seconded by Councillor Cam. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. 11.10 is the August 2019 budget review. Small amount of budget adjustments. Acting CEO.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. The August quarterly review is mainly about capturing the capital carryovers from the previous financial year. You'll see there's some adjustments where we've had to alter some of the budget estimates, and also there is some new projects that have been listed, so that's primarily the bulk of the report. There is a small adjustment into the forecast surplus from 247,000 Ks back down to 209,000 Ks. Again, that's mainly to do with the operational expenditure attached to capital works that's driving that change.
Questions for the Acting CEO? Councillor Payton.
Thank you, Worship. Just one question in relation to page 233. There's a number of headers under roads, sewerage and water described as discretionary emergent works. I was just wondering if you could explain what these will cover and the reason for actually having these.
The discretionary emergency works?
Yeah.
Okay. Acting CEO.
Yeah, through you, Your Worship. What we've been finding is, and a good example might have been when we were at the Council Community Day out at Marion and we found an odour issue in relation to a pump station. Where that actually drives capital works being done, where we don't have budget approval, we need to actually go through a process and come back to council. So it's really been set up to give some discretion back in through the senior management team, still through a very process around a concept design coming back to SLPT and signed off, but it gives us ability in those situations to be able to react rather than having to wait to a budget adjustment of the quarterly review to action it. So it's really there for sort of emergent issues that come up, that have the flexibility to address them then and there, and then report those actions back to councillors at a later date.
Completely transparent. Are there other questions? You happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? Somebody like to move the report's adoption, please? Councillor Payton moves, seconded by Councillor England. Councillor Payton.
Thank you, Worship. This is the first budget review for the 2019-20 financial year. The review accommodates carryovers from the 2018-19 financial year, mainly due to the timing of the capital projects and when expenditure occurs across the year. The sheer number of adjustments proposed shows Council's ability to accommodate change while delivering service to our community. And once again, happy to move the motion.
Thank you very much, Councillor Payton. Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. So that's the reports. There's no petitions, no tenders, no consideration of notified motions, public participation, no late business. No late business for Councillor G.
Mr. Mayor, the Sugar Bowl is hosting a big carnival coming up over the next month. One of those is now the Money Bowl, and it's being classed as a national competition. So I'd just like to congratulate everybody involved in that again. So at the moment we're holding state titles in mountain biking, state titles in BMX, and the national skateboarding bowl competition, which is attracting, I think it's 3 American riders, 1 Canadian rider, and I think it's 9 interstate across all age groups.
Excellent. That's the sort of thing we need to have more of. That's fantastic. Thanks for that. Any further late business? No further late business? Councillors, there are a couple of questions for some of the confidential, or at least one of the confidential items that are about to consider. So would somebody like to move that the meeting be closed to the public? Councillor Cam moves, Councillor Casey seconds. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried. Thank you very much.